Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. This is a virtual town hall on unemployment insurance for the bases of Boston and DCA. Before we get started today, we'll go around the room and have everyone introduce themselves and let you know what they do here, what their job is at APFA. I'm Julie Hedrick. I'm the APFA National President.
And I'm David Arnett, Contract and Scheduling Representative and current Unemployment Specialist.
And I'm Brian Walsh, APFA National Contractor and DCA-based flight attendant.
I'm Marty McMillan. I'm the National Scheduling Chair.
Hi, I'm Kelly Hagan. I am an elected negotiator as well as an unemployment specialist based in Chicago. Hi, guys.
Hi, Boston and DC. This is Eric Harris, APFA National Treasurer, Philadelphia-based. Welcome and thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Josh Black, APFA National Secretary. Glad to have you today.
And again, thank you for joining us. The purpose of these town halls are to help assist you with putting in for your unemployment benefits claims. And also, if you've had any issues after you put the claim in, there is quite a bit of information about the appeal process also. Kelly and David are our two resident APFA experts on unemployment insurance, and they've helped many flight attendants with the process and also with the appeal process. They've been successful in getting APFA flight attendants $1.8 million back in benefits that they deserve. So thank you, Kelly and David, for all your work over the last 6 months. I know you still have a lot of work to do because we have a lot of flight attendants who are recently putting in for unemployment insurance. We have our V-out flight attendants, our lead flight attendants who started October 1st, and then of course our October 1st furloughed flight attendants. So part of what we want to make sure for any furloughed flight attendant who is listening in today is we want to make sure that you update your personal email as well as your physical address with APFA and with the company. We're going to walk you through where you can find that link on the JetNet website, and also we'll walk you through the APFA website and where you can find lots of useful information for putting in your claim for the unemployment benefits. So let's get started with that. Brian Walsh is going to help walk you through the JetNet website and where exactly you can find the link for this.
So what you'll need to do is just go to JetNet as if you're signing in as usual. Once you get to the JetNet homepage, you'll see on the right-hand side there's a tab that says Resource for Furloughed Team Members. You're going to want to go ahead and click on that where it says View More. Then it'll take you to a new screen, and then on the left-hand side you'll see a tab that says APFA Represented Flight Service Team Members. Once you select that link, there'll be a drop-down menu that will pop up, and you can see that there's links for some furlough guides, benefit questions, and at the very bottom it will say Provide your personal email address. You're going to want to click on that link and you'll be able to update your email address as well as your physical address with the company. And this is a good way just to stay updated with the company. We'll send any information regarding recalls or anything about news at AA during your leave or your furlough.
Okay, thank you, Brian. And now we're going to go over to the APFA website, and Kelly is going to guide you through where you'll find all the unemployment resources on our website.
Hi, guys. So if you type in apfa.org, that will take you to the APFA homepage. Once you go to the homepage, you're going to see some tabs there. What you will need to do is you will need to go to the far right and you will see member resources. Once you click on that, it's going to take you to the member resource page. Under membership forms, you're going to see the first hyperlink is update your info. This will update your information with APFA, even though you've done it with American. That does not do it with APFA, so be sure to update your contact information with us as well. Email, phone number, address. If you scroll on down the page to helpful links section, the very first hyperlink is going to be unemployment resources. Once you click on that, that will teleport you to our webpage. The first two hyperlinks that you will see in blue will be the unemployment contact us form, and then the second one will be our email address, unemployment@apfa.org. Should you need to reach out to David or I, this is how we would like for you to communicate with us. Both of those formats allow you to upload documents and provide whatever information that you need to give us. If you scroll down the page just a bit, you'll see the general unemployment information. If you had the opportunity to look at the PowerPoint presentation that David and I released, it gives you a broad overview of unemployment. These tabs under the general unemployment information do a little bit deeper dive off of that PowerPoint. If you didn't have the opportunity to watch it, however, you can still get the same information with a little bit more meat to it as well on these various tabs that you can select through. The very last tab is resources. Once you click on that tab, it's going to bring up some various information that I would like to walk you through. As you can see at the very top, we do update the web page with some frequency. We do the updates with a date and a color. So that way, if you've not had the opportunity to come back to the page, you may not have needed to, and now you have some questions, you can actually see what was updated and when it was updated. When you're filing your initial claim, there's going to be some information that you're going to need to have readily available when you file that initial claim. Some of the most important pieces is American Airlines address, their phone number, as well as their federal ID number. We do suggest at all costs, if you can, to please file online for your initial claim. American Airlines does contract with a third-party provider that is the initial gatekeeper, if you will, of all the unemployment claims. And this is the address that needs to be used. We have seen not many, just a handful of cases where folks have Googled addresses and put those in, and the claim was not matched up with the employer of American, so it's caused a bit of a delay in the claim. So we don't want to see that happen moving forward. And using this address, this phone number, or this federal ID number will stave that off. I do want to also bring note to, if you scroll below that, you're going to see Massachusetts only. So these are for our Boston folks that are tuning in with us today. Just a little bit of information there. You will get the Massachusetts unemployment pamphlet as well from the state. It's also available online on the Massachusetts website, and we have included it, which I'll show you in just a little bit. But just wanted to throw that out there because that is a state requirement for you. If you keep scrolling down under documents and forms, can we go back up? Sorry, Josh. Under documents and form, there is just some really good information that we uploaded for you. It's going to have the different VOP packets. It will have the leave packets. It will also have the furlough packet. There are some additional documents that we have included in there, such as the vacation buyback letter. We've also included the AA unemployment good cause letter. Those are just additional documents that you may or may not ever use. Where those come into play is if the state has a couple questions about your claim that they would like to address. We've put that in a centralized location for you, so you didn't have to hunt and peck around for it. If we scroll on down to the state unemployment resources, we have these tabs broken out for each base claim state. Let's go to DC, if you don't mind, Josh. So in DC, the claimants, you're in Virginia. That is where your earnings are reported. So that is where you would be filing. So what we did is the very first hyperlink that you see once you pick a state is going to be for that respective state's unemployment page. This is where you are going to file your initial claim, and it will also be where you file your certifications. And what the difference between those two are is when you file a claim, you're telling the state, hey, my employment has changed. Either I am getting less hours or I'm getting 0 hours. So when you file that claim, you're telling the state that, and that you possibly are gonna need weekly benefits. When you certify is after you've established a claim. At that point, you're raising the hand and telling the state, hey, I need money. I already told you about my employment problems, but now I'm gonna need you to pay me on it. So feel free to use that as a little springboard to get you into the right area. We also have unemployment benefits at a glance. And this is just a very broad brush, and it just tells you the weekly max, how many weeks you're eligible to claim under normal UI program. It also speaks to, can I do a reduced claim if I'm not getting as many hours as I used to, how severance pay is looked at, and if there are extensions. The reason why we put it in that format is you may find yourself in a situation through base transfers where you have garnered earnings in multiple states over an 18-month look back. If you find yourself in that situation, you have a unique ability to select which state you're going to file your claim in. These are very important things to consider when you're filing that claim. If you have the ability to look at different states, which state pays more money a week, which state pays for more weeks, which state looks at severance pay or vacation pay very different than other states. So I would suggest, if you have that opportunity, to definitely go through and look at what your eligible states are and figure out which is best for your financial situation. Underneath that, we've got DCA resources. Those are additional resources that you can just click and download their documents. It's the claimant guide. It is little knowledge nuggets that we have found searching around on various web pages and the respective state websites that we thought would be very beneficial for you and answer a lot of questions that you probably have for a process you may have never done before or have not done in some time. Below that, we have your government advocates, and what this is, these are your elected representatives, be it federal or state. They are the folks that are tasked with ensuring that their constituents are being taken care of. We have had just very few situations where we were unable to go anywhere else with a claimant. So what we did is we had the claimant reach out to their local representatives. We've engaged American to use their governmental affairs to reach out to these representatives, and it was able to get a claim moving. Because ultimately, what are we all about? Let's get our benefits and let's get them timely. So we went ahead and included that for you with all of their contact information, and all the blue contacts are their email hyperlinks. So I think that just wraps up the webpage, Josh. Thank you.
Thank you.
A lot of really good information on our website, so please make sure you check that out. And also the video where David and Kelly walk you through the basics of unemployment insurance is also on the website. It's a great video, and it's very helpful, to say the least. Okay, are there any state-specific issues that we have for Massachusetts or also for the DC base?
How about I hit Virginia? So we haven't seen a lot of issues, but what we do is David and I, we keep a spreadsheet of every individual claimant issue that we are become aware of, and we meet with American twice a week to address those issues. We do it by base, we do it by claimant, we also do it by system-wide. So that way we can track and trend issues as they come up and try to forestall what we think we may see in the future. So in Virginia, one of the issues that we have seen come up is when a claimant is filing a claim, the state will send correspondence to American, which is their third-party provider, to say, hey, you know, this person has filed a claim against your account. Can you please report to their status? And it's coming back as reported as quit. Clearly not quit, so that's wrong. But what Some of the limitations that the states have are what are the available codes for the employer to select from to accurately report the employee status. Never before have we ever seen a world where an employer pays somebody not to come to work. Unemployment was not set up for that scenario. So when you're on these leave of absences, when they're reported as leave of absences, they come up as reported as quit. So what we have tasked American with, and they have followed through on, is how to accurately report the current employee status while not compromising unemployment. So if you are on any type of paid leave or program, how are those hours going to be reported? Clearly you're attached to payroll, you're getting money, so reported as quit. Yeah, we need to take that off of the table. So American is now reporting it as reduced hours, working all available work. That process went into place early August, right, David? August, okay. So anything prior to that may have been reported under the leave of absence, which triggered the reported as quit. If you are a claimant, that you are in that bucket, please reach out to David and I at unemployment@apfa.org. I know we have a couple of appeals in Virginia, David, pending. 6, okay, so we've got 6 appeals in Virginia pending on that so that we can actually address that status, which is going to be an easy fix because clearly you're not quit, you're attached to payroll. However, the appeal process is a bit lengthy just due to the sheer volume that the states are receiving for claims, appeals, and then just all the crazy pandemonium that's going on there. Did I miss anything on that?
The only other reported as, other than reported as quit, Kelly, I think that we're seeing the employer stated that the separation is for reason other than lack of work.
Okay,
So I think that might be coming from the leave of absence.
okay.
So hopefully,
And is that for Virginia?
yes.
Okay, same state, okay. And I'm assuming those were probably prior to August as well.
It looks like it, so.
And can you speak to how American is attempting to resolve the issues that came up prior to August outside of appeals through the amendment process?
Sure, Kelly. So what American Airlines did is in the state of Virginia, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kelly, but the company does not have a direct contact,
Correct.
but they are able to utilize their resources to speak to the state, meaning a manager level, but it may not be the same person week after week. So what the company did is they did what they call an amendment. And they took all of our claimants that we had on our spreadsheet, which is why I'm so very glad that we keep such meticulous records. Thank you, Kelly. That we sent our spreadsheet over to the company. They can filter it by state, and they filtered out Virginia, and they did a blanket amendment for all of our claimants that are having issues in that state. So what that does is kind of takes like a bundle of our claimants, sends it to the state and say, American Airlines would like help with these 12 cases. Can you assist? And we're currently waiting on the results of that. We do not know the timeline. This is new to both us and the company for the amendment piece, but this is just one more thing that the company has been able to assist us with in trying to move these stalled claims.
Very good. Okay, all right, well, we might as well move on to our questions. It looks like we're getting quite a few. The first question has been sent in from a flight attendant who is based in DC and is furloughed. And it says, my furlough pay ends in January. I don't want to begin my eligible weeks of UI until my furlough pay runs out. When should I apply for UI? Now, it looks like, David, you're going to help us answer this one.
Sure, and we've answered this. It's coming up in a lot of states. So if your furlough pay ends in January, but you don't want to start your eligible weeks of unemployment until after your furlough pay runs out, we have really suggested, I mean, it is almost mid-October. we suggest that you go and file a claim as soon as possible, because even if it gets approved and you're certifying for those weeks, for any weeks that you certify and you do not receive any weekly benefit amount, those weeks do not count towards your maximum annual benefit weeks. So in Virginia, severance pay is a must report and it will reduce your weekly benefit amount. So worst case scenario is that your claim is approved and you're certifying and you're not receiving any weekly benefits, because like I said, for any weeks that you receive $0 in the weekly benefit amount, then those 26 weeks will not count. It will not count towards the 26 weeks. And with what Kelly and I are seeing in many of the states, it could be 4-8 weeks before you actually receive any eligible benefit payments. So the last thing that we want a claimant to do is, well, I'm just going to wait until my furlough pay is over, because when then you apply for unemployment, well, it could be 2 months before you get another paycheck. And, you know, we just don't want to see that happen to any of our most vulnerable members out there.
Okay, all right, thank you, David. Okay, the next question is from a Boston-based flight attendant and who is furloughed. And the question is, I'm already collecting unemployment insurance from Massachusetts with regards to furlough pay. Is that considered earned income? And do I have to report it to the unemployment insurance like I did with the 19 hours? Kelly, you want to take that one on?
Yes, ma'am. So I want to be very clear with this response. This is specific to Massachusetts. So anybody in Virginia, cover your ears on this, because this does not apply to your state. How the furlough pay is going to work in Massachusetts. Furlough pay is contractual severance pay, okay? In Massachusetts, normal severance pay will be measured against your unemployment. It will reduce your benefit. Now keep in mind, I'm being furloughed. Did I opt into a vacation payout? That would have captured your vacation you were unable to take, as well as any vacation that you accrued. That does not measure against your unemployment, okay? So when you're looking at your severance pay, there are two things to be looking at. That actual contractual severance pay as it is explained in section 23, as well as that vacation payout. So you have to be very clear when reporting these items, because they are must reports for the state of Massachusetts, that one will be measured against your unemployment, which means it may reduce it, which is your severance pay, and one will not, which is the vacation. I do want to tag on to this. I know it was not a part of the question, but I want to be very clear with it. In Massachusetts, so keep your ears covered, Virginia. If you took a VOP, and it does not matter if it was a lump sum or it was a monthly payout, you had to sign a general release to participate in that program. Massachusetts state law is, if you had to sign a general release for a separation, all of that money paid to you as separation pay will not measure against unemployment. And just to be clear, this is for Massachusetts, not for DC. DC is a little bit different. And then to go on with your follow-up question, do I have to report it to unemployment insurance like you did with the 19 hours? Yes, you will. For furlough severance pay, it will look just like a normal earning, just like you did on the 19 hours, so you will need to report it in the same similar manner. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you for making sure that that was for Massachusetts only, not for Virginia.
Can I cover your ears now?
Okay. All right. So the next question we have is not necessarily about unemployment insurance, but this is from a furloughed flight attendant based in Boston. If an airline stimulus package is passed between now and the end of the year, will the furloughed flight attendants and other furloughed employees be called back, or will the stimulus be used for current employed members? If a stimulus bill is passed, and we're hoping that it's going to pass very soon, not waiting till the end of the year, then all of the furloughed flight attendants and other furloughed flight employees would be called back. The money from the stimulus is to be used for the employees who have been furloughed. And part of the requirement, just like the first payroll support program bill, was that no one was furloughed. So absolutely, if that stimulus bill passes and the airlines are part of it, then all the flight attendants who have been furloughed and all other employees who've been furloughed will be recalled and brought back to work. And we're hoping that's as soon as possible. We will also here at APFA have a town hall next week for the furloughed flight attendants to give you as much information as we can on what's going on, not only with the PSP, but answer many other questions that we're receiving from furloughed flight attendants. So thank you for the question, and stay tuned. Okay, the next question is any information on how the unrecovered payroll advances are paid back? And David, I believe you're going to take that one on.
Sure. Any information on how the unrecovered payroll advances are paid back? So I would be interested to know if this flight attendant is in an overpayment situation, or are they just asking about the way we are paid in terms of how it happens? Let me just describe generally how we're paid is at the end of the month. If you were active during that month, you're going to receive 37.5 hours on the 30th of the month in your e-pays or your paperless pay. And then on the 15th of the following month is going to be called the true up. And that is when they take the actual flight pay hours that you worked, and they're going to recover the 37.5 hours that they already paid you on the 30th of the previous month. They're going to pay you the difference plus any premiums, per diems, lead pay, galley pay, things like that. We very rarely go into, we could go into overpayments, but we don't see as many of those as we used to see when we were on the previous 35-hour payroll advances. So if you have any particular questions about payroll, you can, do we know the email address? Is it still flight? What, for payroll?
PSC.
PSC. Any particular payroll questions, you can contact the Payroll Service Center at psc@aa.com. And I hope that addressed the question, because unrecovered payroll advances, that's just basically how we're paid. psc@aa.com.
Okay, thank you, David. Okay, next question is from a flight attendant who is based in Boston and on a leave of absence. Can I still collect unemployment from American on an EVLOA if I start work as a real estate agent? I know I have to report income, but want to make sure it will not affect my claim with American, and I can continue to claim when I don't make any money on certain weeks. Okay, and it looks like, David, you're going to take this question.
I won the coin. All right. So with this one, you have to keep in mind that anytime you work while you're receiving unemployment, those are wages, and they must be reported to the state. And when you report those wages to the state, they will reduce the weekly benefit amount. I would be somewhat concerned if the state does any type of fact finding to find out where this money is coming from. And so I wouldn't be alarmed about that, but otherwise just know that you would report that money to the state that you earned from that real estate position. It will reduce the weekly benefit amount. And if you encounter any issues with the state coming to you with a fact finding or an interview or sending you documentation in the mail, please feel free to contact either Kelly or myself. We can be reached at unemployment@apfa.org, and I cannot stress to you enough, please don't just email us and say, call me. We get many emails per day, so we're going to need specific documentation, your employee number, your base, why you're reaching out to us, anything that you receive from the state so that we can assist you. Thanks for that question.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the next question. I'm not sure which state this is. Let me see if I can find that.
I think I can address it for either.
Okay, all right. When filling out the initial application, what is the best reason for separation from this employer? Is it layoff? None of the other options seem appropriate.
Okay, so this is going to be good for both Massachusetts and Virginia. I do want to touch on the different programs that may have brought you to unemployment. So if you have been furloughed, layoff status is totally acceptable for that, because the way the states look at it, contractually we say furlough. A lot of states use furlough or laid off. They are used interchangeably. If you are on a leave, you would do reduced hours, because, let me rephrase that, let me back that up. If you are on a leave that is generating pay, it will need to be as reduced hours. If you are on a leave that is generating no pay, you would just do a lack of work, because you are still going to be attached to payroll even though you're not generating earnings. If you are on a VOP, it would be a lack of work as well. And that is going to be good for both states. Did I hit everything on that one, David? Did that capture all of them? All the leaves, paid, unpaid? Okay.
Okay, great. All right, let's move on to the next question. Thank you, Kelly. On JetNet, the link for updating to personal email does not allow any space to update your address. Can you direct me somewhere that will allow this?
Great question. I'm going to share my screen so you can see exactly where you can go on the new JetNet. After you log in, you'll click on Team Member Services, Update My Information. And then there's a link right here that says update your home and alternate address information. Once you click on that, you can update your information.
Okay. All right, thank you, Josh. Okay, and the next question is a flight attendant who is based in DCA. When will we see Virginia FEMA UB catch up on with the other states? The last communication said October 15th.
Okay, I'm going to grab that one if you don't mind, Julie.
Okay.
What I think that they are referring to is the Lost Wage Assistance Program that came out through an executive order. That was a very unique program in that it was very different from the CARES Act. It actually had, it was not an endless pot of money that was to go on indefinitely. There was a designated fund to a certain amount, and you could have seen some states get more money than others if they would have really gotten in early at the gate. I believe every state except for one of the Dakotas, don't hold me to it, North or South Dakota didn't participate in it, but all the other states have participated in it. They have put in a request for the funds for it. Most of them have been approved at a minimum of 4 weeks. I believe that the maximum is 6 weeks because they were trying to levelize it best they could so that each state would be equal in what they could distribute. The states are not on the same footing on how to distribute that money. Some of them are a little bit laggish on it. While they may have received some of the funds, they may not have distributed it just yet. And just bear with me 1 second. We have on the unemployment resource page, you know how I had mentioned that resource tab as soon as you logged on to it under documents and form? We actually have a couple of things on there for the Lost Wage Act, a couple of documents on that. And one of those documents is a hyperlink that will tell you what states have applied for it. We also have another tab to the left of that resource tab that is actually the lost wage assistance tab. And I found this really cool webpage that I wanted to share with you guys, so I snuck it on there. And it's called the Lost Wage Assistance Tracker. And it's really, really cool in that once you click on it, it will pull up each state. It will tell you exactly where their status is. Have they applied? Have they been paying out to claimants? If so, how many weeks have they paid out to claimants? Have they depleted their fund? Have they not depleted their fund? So specific to the state in which you're inquiring, which would be Virginia, you can actually see what it is. And I just had it up and I can tell you what Virginia is. But Massachusetts, you can go in there and kind of sneak in there and see where you're at too. Okay, so Virginia, their payments are pending. So that means they have not distributed them fully yet. But they're looking at tentatively getting 5 weeks out, and that would be, or 6 weeks out, my apologies, 6 weeks out on that. So that'd be $300 a week. I'm just gonna say one last thing on this and I'll shut up because I know I'm talking a lot. When you raise your hand every week or every other week to tell them you want your money, this is certifying, certify, because when they come back and capture these wages to pay out to claimants, if you did not certify, you would not get the supplemental benefit. So make sure that you certify to get the supplemental benefit, because if we see any future stimulus legislation that brings in something similar to the Lost Wage Assistance Act, or we see something that brings in the extra $600 CARES Act, if you did not certify those weeks, you will not be eligible for it in a back pay situation. So definitely do that. That's money. Don't leave it at the table. Thank you.
Okay, wait a minute. Have we really made it through 38 minutes of this town hall? And that's the first time we've talked about certification? Certify.
Certify.
Okay,
She's
great.
using it.
I'm glad we got it in there. Okay, go ahead, Josh.
All right, so for the updating your address with American Airlines, if you're on furlough, that link for that I showed you for update my information actually doesn't work. You'll have to go to resources, furloughed team members, and at the very bottom on the left-hand side, it says update my contact information. You'll click on that link, and that's where you can put in your address information. Sorry about that.
That's okay, good information. I'm glad that that question was asked. Let's make sure we get that out to the flight attendants because we really need to make sure that that information is updated for everyone. So thank you for looking into that. Okay, and are we ready to move on to the next question, or David, did you have more to add on that? You good?
I think we're good.
Okay, good. All right. Okay, next question. Should pension, vacation, and sick time payments be reported when applying for unemployment insurance? If so, how is it reported? Is it broken down weekly? And Kelly, I think you're going to answer that one.
I am, and I noticed we don't have a state on this, so
Right.
I'm going to address both of the states because they are very different in many ways. Let's hit pension first. Pension will not be measured against your unemployment. The reason being, and this is for both states, for Virginia and Massachusetts, the reason being is because who's paying your pension is not based upon your current, oh my gosh, that phrase is stuck out of my head.
Base period employer?
Thank you.
Yes, I've got it. Base period employer.
Yes, they are not your base period employer, because if you're LUS, you're with the PBGC, that was under US Airways. If you're a legacy AA, that was under AMR. AMR is no longer. We are all the AAL family now.
What? Could you
Yes.
explain that?
So our base period employer is?
AAL.
There we go.
So when you are disclosing that pension, There is a required report on that. Be sure to include your pension is not from your base period employer. That is crucial. That is the law for both respective states, so get that phrase in there. In the event you've already put in a claim and you've already been certifying and you did not know that phrase, you're probably going to see a reduction of your weekly benefit amount because the state's default to, it is your base period employer, which it is not. Shoot David or I an email at unemployment@apfa.org and we can help shepherd you through that process. As far as vacation, the states are looked at differently. Virginia, you have to report it. It is measured against your unemployment. So is sick time. So is severance pay. Massachusetts, you're a little bit different. Your vacation will not measure against it because all of our vacations and any of these programs is a buyout. It's a cash buyout on it. It will not be measured against your unemployment. Sick time will be measured against your unemployment, okay? As well as any income that you are generating due to the various leaves. So how do you report this? When you do your weekly certifications, it will ask you, have you earned any money? Now that you know how to report those earnings, you will need to input it in that area. If you are generating the 19 hours pay, the 38 hours pay, the various iterations of 25, 26, the 20s pays, you will need to report those items. Never before have we been in a situation where an employer has paid you not to come to work. Unemployment certification processes were never written for this. How you report that, whether it be I put all of it in 1 week, I break it throughout 4 weeks, I do every other week, states don't care. Just report it. They pull the numbers from American Quarterly. How you move those chess pieces on the board doesn't matter as long as at the end of that quarter, the numbers match up. The only difference, as I had mentioned earlier for Massachusetts, is if you are on a VOP, those 38 hours are severance pay and will not measure against your unemployment. The last portion of that, is it broken down weekly? I hope in explaining how you move those chess pieces around is up to you. Flight attendants do it differently, depending on your pay structure, how much you make an hour. You may want to put all of it in 1 week and be disqualified from insurance or unemployment in 1 week rather than all 4 weeks. You know, you just move that around how you have to, and at the end of the quarter, just make sure your numbers add up.
Great, thank you, Kelly. Okay, next question is from a flight attendant based in DCA and on a leave of absence. If a flight attendant previously was getting unemployment insurance, then took a 70-hour leave for 1 month, should they open a new claim or just continue with the previous one?
Well, Julie, here's what should happen. So typically when a claimant does not, when a claimant fails to log in to certify, remember that word that Kelly's been driving home? Certify, certify, certify. When a claimant doesn't log in to certify during their weekly or biweekly, their claim will probably go into an inactive status. So you will have to log back onto the VEC website. And what you're going to do is there's no way to there's no link to reactivate your claim. You actually have to file for it'll essentially be like a new claim, but it will revert back to your previous unemployment claim that you had with any remaining benefit weeks and monetary funds attached to it. The one thing that if you are a flight attendant who's doing if we do have 70-hour leaves, or if you're coming and going and coming off unemployment, going back onto unemployment, one way to keep your claim active is to continue to
Certify.
Always certify.
This
right?
message is brought to you by Certify.
There we go. All right. Okay, next question is from a Boston-based flight attendant on a leave of absence. Due to AA pay reflecting prior 2 weeks, question is regarding what week to start to submit a claim for unemployment when they took a 6-month STLOA beginning October 1st, 2020, but did receive the last pay on October 15th, reflecting pay from our September 70-hour VLOA.
Thanks, Julie. I'll take that. So one of the things that we're learning is how we're paid. And it's important to know that if you are receiving a paycheck on the 15th of October, well, when is that pay from? That pay is from September. It is the true up for any hours that you actually flew in September, minus what they already paid you, plus any premiums and per diem that we talked about earlier. So essentially, if you took the STLOA beginning on October 1st, your pay for October 15th is prior to you submitting the unemployment claim. So that is already reported to the state by the company. So you would just simply move forward with your claim, and depending on how you choose to certify any STLOA hours for October, just like Kelly touched on, is based on how you, it's up to the individual claimant. But the hours on the October 15th e-pays, paperless pay, y'all, those are from last month, that's September. So please don't claim, even for those of you who are receiving severance pay, you're furloughed, don't go on that application and put that you got 2 weeks of pay on October 15th, because it's wrong. It's just not right. So, thanks for the
That
question.
can make a big difference.
Make a big difference, right?
Okay, great. All right, next question is from a flight attendant based in DCA, and this flight attendant is furloughed. If furloughed flight attendants are recalled due to the PSP finally being approved, and God forbid we find ourselves furloughed again, in March, will we start the calculations on receiving furlough pay again? Brian, you want to take that one on?
All right, so if we were to get the PSP extension, and then we do face furloughs again in March, we would be essentially restarting the 12-month look back clock that would be used to calculate the length and amount of furlough pay.
And we know that the PSP extension actually is through March.
Through March.
So we know it would not be at least till April, right? So, yeah.
And then again, if you do have any furlough specific questions, please feel free to email RIF at apfa.org, and we can get back to you as soon as possible with any questions you may have.
Okay, thanks, Brian. Okay, got a few more questions here. Okay, this is from a flight attendant who is based in Boston and out on a leave of absence. So it looks like this flight attendant is on a leave that is paying 19 hours. And now on that leave, oh, she was on one that paid 19 hours and now on a leave that pays 26 hours. Do we need to recertify the change in benefits?
I'll take that, Julie. The only thing you're not going to, if you have an active claim, your claim is good for 12 months from the date of your initial filing. So if you have an active claim and you're transitioning from one leave to the next, you just change the way that you certify. For example, if you were doing the 19-hour PVLOA and you were doing 5 hours 1 week, 5 hours the second week, 5 hours the third week, and 4 hours this week, you're just going to change the way you certify in the EVLOA month so that you reflect those hours. And like we've been telling you, as long as at the end of the day, the hours that you certify for match what is reported to the state by the company, then you're good. So there is no surefire, there's no wrong way to certify as long as the two numbers match up.
Okay, great. Thank you, David. Okay, and Kelly, it looks like we had someone send in a question after an answer that we gave earlier. So it is in regard to what Kelly said earlier, is the 38-hour 12-month VAP payout considered severance and does not reduce unemployment payouts?
I am really hopeful that this person is based in Massachusetts, because if they are, it will not reduce your unemployment benefits. Because you had to sign a general release, Massachusetts unemployment law states having the obligation to sign a general release Any wages are considered severance from that piece and will not be measured against unemployment. If you're in Virginia, it is not considered severance. Or wait, let me back up. If you're in Virginia, it still is considered severance, but it will be measured against your unemployment. So you won't be able to double dip in Virginia, but Massachusetts you can.
Hence why we've been doing so many town halls, because every state is different when it comes to unemployment insurance. I think we've all in the room definitely figured that out, and I know Kelly and David, that's what all the research you've been doing has been so helpful, because it's not a one size fits all. Every state is so different from each other. So thank you for that. Okay, next we have a Boston-based flight attendant. Let's see here. And her question is, I've been reporting the 38 hours as part-time hours. How do I change it to severance? Okay, Kelly, this looks like it's got you written all over it because we just wanted to talk about it.
There you go, Kelly.
And I have to say, if this is like, for me, the very best question out of a town hall, because it means I didn't know what I was eligible for, and now I do. And I want to fix it. So thank you for this question. As far as how to flip it, no clue, but you know what? We're going to get through this together. Can you send David and I an email at unemployment@apfa.org, because I have all the legal documentation of that. I know we're going to have to reach out to the state and explain the situation. And in explaining that situation, we'll have all of the legal background for you, so that way that we can get your money back to you and then figure out what you're going to do with it once you get it. So please give us an email on that. And if there's anyone else on this town hall, or you end up speaking to someone outside of this town hall, that this is their situation as well, please share with them for them to reach out to David and I at unemployment@apfa.org, so we can get that corrected for you on the back end and get all the money that you're entitled to.
And more.
And more.
This is why these town halls are so important, because, you know, I can tell you, I've learned so much just from the two of you sitting here this week, and I'm sure our flight attendants who, like this flight attendant, who maybe checked a box, and I've talked to many, who, when you're going through these forms, they can be very confusing, not sure exactly what to fill out. So we'll make sure this video is out very quick, so more flight attendants can have this information, and hopefully if they've maybe checked the wrong box, they'll be able to correct that also. And of course, now they know they can always email the two of you to help them with that situation at unemployment@apfa.org.
And there's no mistake that's unrepairable.
Great. All right. Looks like we have one more question. If we drove for Uber Eats as an independent contractor, will this affect our unemployment? And how should we report this? I only made $650 in July and August. And this is from a flight attendant in Boston.
In Boston, so we have some Uber Eats drivers in Boston. So in Massachusetts, if you have any wages, they need to be reported to the state. An independent contractor's income is going to be reported at the end of the year on your, I think it's, don't quote me, the 1099.
Mm-hmm.
That is going to be when you disclose to the state that you made money driving for Uber. So one way or another, the state is going to find out that you are earning those wages. So you need to claim those wages in the weekly or biweekly certification. It will reduce the weekly benefit amount because that's money that you are earning, and that's for any job that you're doing. Any job that you are doing, you want to make sure that you disclose those wages to the state. I do want to say one more thing, is that some people may not know what the general release is. I was just thinking about that. So that is what you actually will sign or have signed upon separation from the company, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, you have already signed it. If you were an October participant, you would have signed it. If you were, if you were a May participant, you would have signed it. So May and October, Massachusetts, those in the back, listen, those are severance wages. You had to sign a general release. They do not measure against your unemployment. Reach out to us if you have questions and concerns. Can I throw in one last thing?
Absolutely, you've got 4 minutes.
Nobody asked this, but we need to go over it. Work search requirements
Oh, yes, you're
for the
right.
state.
Yeah.
Please pay strict attention to that, for Massachusetts and Virginia. If you are on a paid leave, that is being reported as earnings, you will be reporting that in your certification process as reduced hours, reduction in hours. You're still attached to payroll. You will not have a work search requirement. If you're on a leave that is garnering no earnings, let's say you're a junior one who took a STLOA, so you're not getting any earnings, or you've been furloughed, you are fully unemployed, you are going to be reported as lack of work and you will have a work search requirement. Please, I cannot stress this enough, pay attention to your respective state unemployment website to figure out, is your work search in play or not? Most of the work search requirements have been temporarily suspended due to the pandemic. However, many states are lifting that waiver and are now requiring work search requirements. They are very different in each state. Please pay attention to that, because when you are certifying every week or bi-weekly, you're saying that you are able and available for work. That also means you are able to work and I am available to work and I am doing my work search requirements. That is part of your eligibility to get weekly benefits. Did I miss anything on that, David? Good.
I'm really glad you brought that up, because you're right, we've had that question in just about every town
Yeah.
hall, but this one, so, great point. That concludes the last of our town halls, so we have done 13 bases and 3 days. Thank you, David and Kelly and everyone else, for all your time, effort, and energy on this. Thank you for attending the town hall. We hope this was helpful for you and hope we were able to answer some questions that you needed answered. And as we said earlier, please reach out to unemployment@apfa.org if you have any other questions or need any help with either filing your claim or with the appeal process. And Kelly and David are here to help you in every way they can to get the benefits you deserve. So thank you again and be safe.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Boston. Thanks, DC.
Bye, Boston, DC.